The moon and the sun meet in Taurus at 25 degrees on May 16th, 2026. This is a new moon in the most embodied sign of the zodiac, and the moon here is the placement classical astrologers called her exaltation. The sign where her receptive, sustaining, earth element nature reaches its fullest expression, where she feels secure and grounded and resourced and happy. So the moon governs the body and the emotional body, the physical body, the rhythms that move beneath the surface of our conscious life. So in Taurus, she's at home. She's in the senses. So again, she's happy here. Now, the moon in Taurus has a connection to a really ancient goddess, one of the oldest goddesses in the human record, and her name is Hathor. And she's the great mother goddess of Egypt, or one of them, and she's depicted as a cow or as a woman wearing the horns of a cow with the disk of the sun held between them. And she is a goddess who presides over music and dance and pleasure and love, motherhood, romantic love, joy itself. And if you think about dance, there's a lot of Taurus dancers and singers. Taurus is a sign that uses the body as the instrument for making art. So her body is the heavens. She's the celestial cow whose milk feeds the gods and whose 4 legs are the 4 pillars of the world. She's also the Lady of the West and the one who receives the souls of the dead at the threshold of the underworld. So she's the entire range of what the embodied feminine can hold: pleasure and grief, birth and death, the sacred and the sensual treated as the same thing, because in her cosmology, they were never separate. And the intelligence of Hathor is this: pleasure is prayer. The body is a temple. Joy is not distraction from the holy. It's one of its highest expressions. So in a world increasingly built on systems of fear and scarcity and moving really fast and consuming and short attention span kind of stuff, the choice to fully inhabit pleasure is a form of revolution, an antidote, a return to the deeper knowing that the universe itself was born from ecstasy, and that the body is the matrix where creation continues to pour through. Your body is the consciousness of the earth organized into form. It's the temple your soul has come to inhabit, and under this new moon, that temple is to be honored. What you plant under this moon, and the new moon is a moment of new beginnings and seed planting, where we can set our intention and hold that intention at the moment of the lunation. And that intention then blooms into the full moon and beyond. So what you plant under this moon is being received by Hathor's earth. Taurus is ruled by Venus, which means that this new moon is ruled by Venus, by Aphrodite. So at the time of this lunation, she is in Gemini, and she's moving quickly, gathering connection. She's very curious in this sign. She likes to flirt. She likes words, language. She is airy and conversational, and she's in Mercury's domicile. So she's a guest in his home. She is in beautiful aspect with Mars, who is her lover in the mythology. Aphrodite, Aries, Venus, Mars. And this gives her a generative chemistry. So she's very potent right now. And she's also in a sextile, which is a harmonious aspect with Chiron, who is the wounded healer. And so there's a medicinal aspect to creativity and to appreciating beauty and art right now. And in fact, we know now that when we experience beauty, beautiful music, when we're in beautiful surroundings, that it actually benefits our brain, that our brain is healthier when we're around beauty. So as the ruler of Taurus, her presence is felt in this chart wherever Taurus lives, like this new moon. So she's sending her energy back into her own earthen home from where she stands in Gemini, supported by Mercury, by the mind. This new moon will be conjunct or fused together with Uranus. Now it's out of sign, but it's still asking for particular attention. Uranus has just crossed into Gemini. There is a video exploring that in depth, so it would be worth listening to that to get a feel for what that means for the next many years. This is a Taurus new moon being electrified, and we're kind of the lightning rod, right? So we're sort of bringing something down, a sudden knowing. You may feel like with this new moon, something shifts in terms of your knowing. You'll sort of feel it in your body, and it could come in images, in feelings, but there's this flash of recognition that arrives maybe before the mind has caught up. And Uranus is often spoken of as like cerebral, disruptive, the energy of the unexpected, and all of this is true. But Uranus has a profound relationship with our bodies because the body is where the lightning lands. It's, again, our mind, the brain is physical, right? So this is where our thinking is. The nervous system is actually physical. So it's where the flash registers. The gut, the sudden chill or like sense of expansion that runs through us when something true is being said. That's Uranus working directly through the matter of who you are. So the intelligence of Taurus has often been underestimated, right? People speak of Taurus as slow, plodding, content with just the material, and even the way we say that, mind over matter, just the material. But Taurus is the body's own genius. Think about how many systems are running at once and all interconnected in the way that our veins and arteries look like lightning bolts, and they look like, I don't know what it's called, but I think a delta of a river, right? The way that the river branches run and veins in a leaf, like this is all the earth, right? And this is the way our nervous system looks, our brain stem, all of this. So it all, there's a patterning. Taurus also has this knowing that does not need to think because it already knows. Our bodies know things. And how many times have we had that feeling, right? That we knew something and then our mind caught up later, right? Or we ignored it and then found out later what our bodies were trying to say. They knew. Our bodies know. Our feelings know. So it's older than mental knowing. It's the substrate from which all knowing rises. So when Uranus meets the sun and the moon in Taurus, what's being activated is the genius of the body, the flash of recognition that moves through our senses. Uranus is the electricity that moves through our nervous system. It's higher mind. It's said to be a higher octave in modern astrology of Mercury, which is how we think and speak and communicate. So it's like drawing down something from the transpersonal, but into this deeply personal and physicalized sign, which is Taurus, right? And again, the moon is exalted in Taurus. So the receptive, embodied intelligence of Taurus is what's making the awakening usable, right? It's almost like our body's a lightning rod receiving and grounding the lightning, and we let it move through us safely by staying grounded. So that's one of the things that we may need to approach with discipline and with awareness, is to stay grounded, keep all four hooves on the ground, right? Because that will make the electricity move through us into the ground. So if we're kind of scattered and we're all over the place, we could just sort of get knocked out of the air, right? So this makes it grounded. It makes that knowing something that will serve, right? That we can use for our well-being and for change, for something to awaken, for liberation of some kind, for a really radical shift to occur. What grows from the seed planted under this new moon may not look like what you thought you were planting. Uranus is the principle of what arrives kind of sideways, what surprises us though with its rightness, and what could not have been predicted by ordinary planning. Right? So it sort of interrupts our gardening and the intelligence that wants to come through right now. And it's exactly what this moment requires. And it may take a shape that surprises you. Yeah. So let it surprise you. It's not a deviation from anything that's needing to continue to go in the same direction. You know, Taurus, one of the shadow sides of Taurus, and I speak as a Taurus sun, so I know one of the shadow sides of Taurus is that Taurus doesn't like change, doesn't like to change direction. I live in a place where there's cows outside my window regularly, and they definitely protest when they have to move fields, and they yell and they protest, and it takes them a bit to adjust. They're only moving over to the next field, to the next grass. They do adjust, but they don't like that change. You know, this is why Taurus is the symbol of this kind of energy. Yeah, so the surprises that come are kind of the deeper intelligence of the intention that's actually present. And it's the deeper intelligence of it trying to find its actual form that's really going to support us in present time. So there's another piece here that asks for some slow looking as well. Chiron and Mars are conjunct in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, and a fire sign. This is 0 degrees of orb, which means in regular language that they are exactly together. So they're occupying the exact same point in the sky, and that gives this aspect a lot of power. So Mars is the warrior, the principle of action, of fire, the capacity to move towards what is desired. And in Aries, he's very, very powerful. He's in his home and very resourced here. And he governs initiation, self-assertion, and the willingness to act from your own center. So that impulse is, again, very powerful right now, very resourced. He is, though, connecting to Chiron, who's the wounded healer. And this was the centaur who was wise enough to teach Asclepius the art of medicine, who could heal others, but could not fully heal his own wound. So he carried that wound with such grace that it became the source of his deepest gifts. And he became the mentor and the teacher. So in Aries, both Chiron and Mars, the right to act, the fire that is yours by nature. And when they fuse exactly, what is being held is both the wound and the healing of identity and action, our I amness, right? Our right to just exist as a presence. This wound kind of has a specificity to it. Moments when acting from your own truth costs something, right? So there's a memory of wounding when you have acted on your own behalf, when initiating, asserting, or simply being fully yourself, when that was met with resistance or dismissal or even harm. And when the natural fire, the right to want, to desire, to move, to start something, may have been taught to second guess itself. So there's a wound around desire, and Taurus's nature is about desire as well. To really feel our own presence in the world. So Chiron doesn't just carry the wound, he's the healer though. And so what he holds in this exact conjunction is also the medicine. The capacity to act from the wound rather than despite it. To bring the full intelligence of what has been moved through into the very fire of beginning. So identity itself is being healed at this new moon, by recognizing it as a source of a particular kind of ownership, self-ownership. And Chiron's also in a sextile, which is a harmonious aspect with the ruler of this new moon, with Venus. So Venus is receiving Chiron's particular kind of beauty, and we are as well. So this is sensitivity as a support, not as a liability. As the source of your art, and your honesty about your wounding feeds your creativity and your well-being. If you'd like to work with me more directly, there's a window open now for readings with me. You can go to my website, which is in the text with this video in the description. I'd also love for you to join my community through Patreon, and you'll hear from me every week, go more deeply into this astrology, as well as opportunities for mentorship with me, and to join our Veil Walkers community. If you have Aries Rising, the new moon is in your second house, and this is the ground of your own worth, what you have, what you value, what you believe you deserve to receive. So beneath the material layer, it is the internal foundation from which everything else is built. It's the house of what you have, so it's your finances as well. Your strength is the courage to act, to move toward what calls you with full fire. The shadow side of Aries can be the place where that fire moves so quickly that it forgets to feel what's actually sustaining it. So the moon says to you, Aries, what I am planting in this ground is a different relationship to what holds you. Not what you produce, not what you achieve, what already nourishes you when you let yourself be still enough to feel it. Your body knows what is genuinely sustaining. Let it tell you. If you have Taurus Rising, the new moon's in your first house, and the first house is the most personal house in the chart. It's your body, it's your forward-facing self, your presence in the world. It's when you shake hands with someone else, they meet that first house. The new moon here is in this zone of self, on your own being. Your deepest gift is your embodied knowing, the wisdom that doesn't need to think or lead with thinking because it already knows. The shadow side of Taurus, though, can be the place where that rootedness becomes resistance to what is genuinely asking to change. So the new moon in your sign says to you, Taurus, the lightning has come to ground in and through your body. I am in the most personal house of your chart, and what I am planting is alive with electricity and slow with earth time. Don't rush what is happening in you. Your body has already received it and knows what to do. If you have Gemini Rising, the new moon is in your 12th house, and this is the most mysterious house and the one that's the most difficult for astrologers to describe. It's beyond the threshold of ordinary consciousness. It's kind of backstage in the hidden. It's the place of the unconscious, of dreams, and the new moon here is planting something in that deep interior. So your strength is the agility of your mind, the capacity to connect what others miss and to translate, to move between worlds. You're like a butterfly pollinating flowers. And the shadow side of Gemini can be the place where that movement skims the surface of what would reward genuine depth. And the new moon says to you, what I am planting in this room of your life is not for the daylight. It's for the deep, for the night knowing. The lightning that arrived here doesn't announce itself out in the open. It moves beneath the threshold of awareness. Do not try to articulate it yet, no matter how much you may want to. The deep knows how to grow what I have placed here, and it will reveal itself in correct time. If you have Cancer rising, the new moon's in your 11th house, and this is the territory of community, of belonging beyond the personal. It's co-creation, and this is the house of the people who share your dreams and your visions and your frequency. And the new moon here is planting something in your wider, this wider relational field of community. So your strength as a Cancerian is the depth of your emotional intelligence and your capacity to create the conditions in which others genuinely feel held and where things can grow, where they can gestate. And the shadow side of Cancer can be the place where that care turns inward toward the family of origin or towards your inner circle and forget to cultivate relationships outside of that in your greater community, right? So what the new moon would say to you is, I'm planting a new chapter of belonging in this area of your life, in the area of vision and dreams and greater community. The lightning has arrived in the field of who recognizes you, and what comes through this seed may take a shape you didn't expect. The ones who are made larger by knowing you are closer than you think. If you have Leo rising, the new moon is in your 10th house, and the 10th house is the house of vocation, of public life, of how your purpose takes shape in the world. And the new moon at the very top of your chart is a significant placement for planting something visible, right? So it's your calling is where this new moon is happening. So your strength is in your radiance, in your capacity to be really present, and bring a light to the room, to bring warmth to whatever space you enter. Your ruling planet is the sun. And the shadow side of Leo can be the place where that gift gets tied to being seen rather than to the genuine expression of what is yours to give. And the new moon in Taurus says to you, what I am planting at the top of your chart is a public life rooted in your body, not in your performance. Hathor, the goddess, knows that pleasure is prayer. And what you build from a place of genuine aliveness will outlast anything built from obligation. Let the seed take a form that pleases you. If you have Virgo rising, the new moon is in your 9th house. And the 9th house is the house of meaning, of belief, of philosophy, of the frameworks through which you understand your life. So it's the house of understanding and higher learning, and also travel and expansion. And your strength, Virgo, is your discernment, your capacity to see what's actually there and to bring genuine intelligence to whatever you tend. The shadow side of Virgo can be the place where that precision turns critical when it could be holding wonder instead. So Virgo, you see the smaller details, and this new moon may be asking you to see the bigger picture. So she says to you, the understanding I'm planting in this house is arriving through your body, not through analysis. The lightning came in as a felt recognition. Trust what comes to you as knowing rather than as proof. The wisdom that is taking root here does not need to be argued for. If you have Libra Rising, the new moon's in your 8th house. And the 8th house is the house of depth, of intimacy, and of what is shared at the level that is, with the most depth, and that's felt. It's transformation. The new moon here is planting something in this house of changing form, right? And it's also the house of shared money, shared resources, and any kind of energetic or power exchange. So Libra, your strength is your sensitivity to what is fair and what's beautiful, right? And the shadow side of Libra can be the place where the gift of perceiving harmony makes the descent into the depths feel like a violation of grace, right? So Libra, you're not fond of the ugliness of being drawn downward and inward, and yet this new moon is saying, well, that's what's needed right now. So she says to you, what I am planting in the depths of your chart is the kind of beauty that is profound. Aphrodite's older face is here, who knows that the deep is the source of what is beautiful, not the opposite of it. What is being seeded here is the capacity to be met where you actually live. Scorpio Rising, the new moon's in your 7th house. And the 7th house is the mirror, the significant other, the partner, the one who stands across from you. So the person who's sitting opposite the table from you, so to speak. And the new moon here is planting something in the relational field, in a one-on-one bond. So your strength is in the willingness to go all the way into the truth of something. You are at home in the depths and in the deeper side of things, in the roots and in the dark. The shadow side of Scorpio can be the place where that depth becomes a fortress that no one is permitted to enter, and sort of getting stuck in the shadow work and maybe neglecting the light work sometimes. The new moon says to you, Scorpio, the mirror I am placing across from you is one that can meet what you actually are. What I am planting in this 7th house is the possibility of being known at the depth you've been carrying. And the lightning that just arrives mean it may come from a direction that you didn't expect. Sagittarius Rising, the new moon's in your 6th house. This is the house that is the body, daily practice, the rhythms that form the texture of your life, so your daily rituals. And the new moon here is planting something in your daily life, in your daily rituals, in your way of doing things, moment to moment. So your strength is your orientation toward the horizon, your capacity for vision, for the long story of meaning. So, Sagittarius symbolized by the centaur with the arrow. So Sagittarius is always shooting the arrow to the other side of things and wants to know what's on the other side of the mountain, on the other side of the ocean, etc. Right? So the shadow side of Sag can be the place where the gift for the vast becomes impatience with the daily and with the specific and with the mundane that's actually building the foundation in the details of what you do day to day, right? So the new moon says to you, the vision you carry is real. What I am planting in this house is the daily life that can hold that vision, the body that can carry it, not separate from the horizon. The horizon walked toward one ordinary day at a time. The seed is in the small, consistent practices that you may not yet recognize as sacred. If you have Capricorn Rising, the new moon's in your 5th house. This is the realm of creative expression, self-disclosure, pleasure, desire as creative force, and your inner child. The new moon here is planting something in this creative self. So your strength is your capacity for the long view, for understanding that what is worth building takes time and takes consistent care, step by step. The shadow side of Capricorn can be the place where that orientation toward what is concrete and what is lasting and what has the weight of tradition behind it, that can make pleasure feel like something that needs to be earned. Yeah? So the Queen of the Night, the new moon in Taurus, is saying, what I am planting in this house, in this 5th house, is a creative life rooted in pleasure rather than just in duty. Hathor is here with me, the goddess, and she knows that the universe itself was born from ecstasy. What you make from this ground may surprise you. The right to create from joy is not something you have to earn. If you have Aquarius Rising, the new moon's in your 4th house, and this is the root, the foundation, the private interior of your life. This is home, ancestry, the emotional ground beneath everything else. So it's, again, the root. If you were a tree, the 4th house would be your roots going into the ground. And the new moon here is planting something in the very foundation of your life. Your strength is your capacity to think beyond convention, to hold a vision of what is possible beyond what currently exists. And the shadow side of Aquarius, though, can be the place where that orientation toward the future leaves the present body without enough grounding to hold the visionary work. The new moon says to you, as she's in Taurus, exalted, the vision you carry has to live somewhere. What I am planting in this house is the ground that holds it. Home, root, the private interior that sustains the visionary life. The lightning came to earth in the foundation. What grows here is what the future will rest on. If you have Pisces Rising, the new moon's in your 3rd house, and this is the area of voice, of the immediate world of communication, of how the mind moves through ordinary exchange. It's your local neighborhood and siblings, and it's also the spirits of the land and that are local, the spirit of your house, the spirit of the rivers, the spirit of the trees, of the street you live on. So the new moon here is planting something in your use of voice. Your strength is your attunement to what lives beneath the surface, to the emotional and energetic undercurrents that other people miss. You are attuned to the collective unconscious, and you can feel that current moving through everything. The shadow side of Pisces can be the place where that sensitivity moves so quickly past the specific that the gift cannot land in language that other people can receive. So sometimes it can be challenging to find the language for all that you feel. And so the new moon is sending you this message to assist. What I am planting in this house is a voice that can carry the depth you already feel into words other people can actually hold, can take in. Chiron's wisdom is here. Beauty that has profundity, language that comes from your experience. What you are about to begin saying may surprise you with how specific it is. and how true. Happy new moon in Taurus, my friends. I so appreciate that you've subscribed to my channel, and I would love to hear your thoughts about your experience with this new moon and what your rising sign is. So please leave me a comment and share this video with anyone you think would benefit. Many blessings.